Honourable Shane Jones.
Mr Chair, these speeches are focused on part two, unlike the earlier contribution, both unwise and irrelevant, from that member residing in Ōtautahi. And I won't repeat the foolishness of what he said in the sense that he's blaming on the Resource Management Act all sorts of ills. No, if any applicant, sir, wants to dam a river, gain further access to what is rapidly becoming a Māori resource, the geothermal energy, not that we'd know it from the Māori Party, who are busily lost talking about pearly shells on the seashore, which which they will never ever own, despite having misled our iwi, but more on that at a later time. So, if any applicant wants to come forward and seek statutory consent, the process has been laid out. Indeed, this side of the House, sir, did actually agree that there was worth in improving the ability of central government to handle consent applications that related to resources that may have cut across multiple catchments. So, sir, that, however, doesn't overcome a number of the weaknesses in this bill, and I want to direct our attention, sir, to what my colleague Mr Parker was talking about, which is the statements of government policy. Now, it seems to me, sir, that the Minister, with his booming rhetoric, left the impression with his colleagues that these changes were going to significantly improve the ability of the industry participants to offer power in a more sustainable fashion and at a more efficient price. Well, this bill is inversely related to his rhetoric. In addition to that, sir, it goes on to say that the Minister may request a review in Part 20. So what it says is that the Minister, upon requesting a review, must first consult the authority. And that, sir, got me thinking about who will be the people on this authority. Who will be the individuals deemed fit and proper and suitably skilled, sir? I can assure the member, after the meltdown of ACT and the taint that will attach to his party, the tail enders on his list will be looking for a shovel to dig up the offal in Christchurch, and he will be at the head of the queue, sir. So I dare say the level of interest he shows on this bill should be improved, as he may be fortunate enough, in the unfortunate event that this bill gets passed, to be looked upon by the Minister of SOEs. So the membership of the authority says that people must have electricity industry experience, consumer issues experience, and business generally. Now, given that the authority is going to be a pivotal feature in the new infrastructure, the Minister, it seems to me, sir, whilst he or she may actually have an important issue, we won't actually use this process, sir, because we're going to repeal this wretched piece of legislation. We're not going to allow a piece of legislation which has been brought into this House on the strength of loud rhetoric, but changes actually nothing to the in terms of the underlying causes which are causing a great deal of discontent amongst the voting public, whether they be of a manufacturing nature or a residential nature, sir. So when the Minister makes a request, sir, for a review, this person, whoever that, unlikely to be the Minister of Energy for much longer, sir, must consult the authority. So will the authority have a, not so much staff, sir, will they have a governance board that will be capable of pointing out the obvious foolishness, as we've seen earlier in terms of this Minister and what he's tried to do here? Will they be independent? No, sir, we've set up a seemingly independent board, but this board can be crushed at the whim, sir, driven no doubt by politics or vested interests that may have set upon the Minister. Because although the Minister, sir, may consult the authority, the Minister, however, will get his or her way. And, sir, the authority, how will it actually carry out its levels of independence if indeed the actual members that are going to go onto the authority are not independent? Sir, and therein lies a difficulty with this restructuring, because there's going to be several organisations, Mr Chair,
The Honourable
Mr. Chair,
Shane Jones.
there's going to be several organisations that will require appointees. And we've had a history where people and conflict of interests have riddled this sector, which is why, sir, as I said earlier, I look forward to the day personally where we no longer have this failed model of competition, constant gouging of monopoly rents, and, sir, the ongoing call from the ACT Party, sir, discredited though they may be, although I must say, sir, the member that sits in the House from the ACT Party this evening is not a discredited member. She is proof that her party members should stop reading books by Forsyth, but should start watching Kill Bill, because the blonde came back. So, but going on to other elements in this in this bill, sir. So, carrying on in terms of how independent and what sort of qualities will this Board of Governors show? And I think, sir, whilst it'll be necessary for the Minister to seek appointees, we have to reflect a deep concern that the direction that this organisation is going to head is going to depend on the blend and mix of skill. If you get absolutely no one, sir, on there who is either intellectually strong enough or capable of being a good advocate for mitigating measures in relation to carbon footprints, fairness, sustainability measures, so we're going to have the same tired group of people who see these energy companies as their private playground. And, sir, we will not, in that sense, see an improvement in either price or sustainability, which is really why a great opportunity, said earlier by members on the committee, has been squandered here, sir. And I want to carry on, sir, perish the thought that anyone should think that we haven't studied this bill to an exhaustive degree. So, item 22. And I don't refer here to Security and Reliability Council. Rather, sir, I refer here to advisory groups. Now, the advisory groups, I'm imagining, sir, will include people who have a genuine and long-standing concern about the quality of the resources that we are continually drawing upon. And it will also increase, sir, the importance that Māori groups, iwi, and indeed other Māori environmental organisations pay close attention, because they're unlikely, sir, to be considered as an advisory group. And, sir, quite frankly, had our colleagues from the Māori Party not been surfing on the seabed in foreshore and have focused on this incredibly important area to the development of our Māori people, i.e. the utilisation of those natural resource groups which are used for generation of energy purposes, we would actually see, sir, a specific reference that those hapu and those iwi whose territories are proximate either to the geothermal fields, either to, sir, the rivers, the lakes, and of course, sir, I include there the wind, but that's been consumed by the current Minister of Energy. Now, sir, in the absence of any of those Māori groups having been included, it shows not only was there delinquency and neglect on the part of our Māori colleagues in the Māori Party, none of that comes as a great surprise to us, but it shows, sir, that these advisory groups are likely to be rendered useless, marginalised, because there's no guarantee that people who treat as their primary raison d'etre, sir, stewardship in the environment, the connection between tangata whenua and their historical resources, sir, they're written out of this script. They ought to have been included explicitly here. There lay an important distinction between our approach, sir, to energy policy and their approach, i.e. the government's approach. We suffered no doubts, and, sir, there was no cavil on our side as to whether or not there should be a marriage between hard economic decision-making and broad sustainability considerations. That lay at the pith of the approach, sir, that we brought to natural resource management and brought, sir, in our time, especially towards the end of that great reign, sir, of energy policy. Now, it may be said, sir, that these groups of the tangata whenua, etc., can fit in a generic sense. But it's very important